I'm Jake Miller from the Educational Duct Tape Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect those of others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Bryon Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAtFive or check out my website, BryonCarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected.
Hey PLN, it's Sunday, June 6, 2021, out here walking with my boy today. Say hi, Brock. Hi. All right, this is the one that's been graduating, the electrician, but telling you all about him. So anyhow, this today is out walking for Fresh Air at 5. It's really noisy with all the cars. I was listening to the Junkdrawer podcast by students as my students recorded podcast episodes in my class this past spring, and I listened to episode 6 of the Junkdrawer, where who was it? It was Wesley talked about the stapler and staples and how we have this fastener that's been around for about 100 years or so, a little more than 100 years, and we take it for granted. When was the last time you used a staple? All right, so that's episode 6 of the Junkdrawer, a podcast by students. And so thanks for listening. Make sure you go to the bit.ly, which is bit.ly/AVS-Junkdrawer is one word with a capital A, capital V, capital S, and a capital J. Thanks so much for listening. Bye. One more thing for June 6, 2021. Listen to episode 7 of the Junkdrawer podcast as Griffin talks about invisible tape or Scotch tape, and I learned some stuff. Didn't know that. Fantastic to learn about Scotch tape and all these things that have such an importance in our lives that we have no idea where they come from. You know, so it's good that we looked into this. And thanks, Griffin, for your podcast. Talk to you guys later. Bye. One last thing for June 6, 2021. Finishing up my Fresh Air at 5 walk this afternoon as my son and I are walking. And I listened to the Junkdrawer, a podcast by students, episode number 8. And that was yours truly, as I talk about scissors. And you know, as a teacher, when you ask your students to do something, you better be doing that yourself so that you're being a model. So that's what I was doing, working alongside them, working through the process of developing a podcast. And it was a lot of fun to do. So yes, I got the encouragement to do so from some of my podcaster friends and them talking about how they podcast with their students. Thanks, Tim Cavey, for your encouragement. And as we get into podcasting ourselves, it makes it a whole lot easier. Before I started my own podcast, of Fresh Air at 5, it seemed like a daunting task, but it's not too bad. It just takes time, and there's different techniques and tools and tricks to do so, and so it was fantastic. Want to learn how to do that a little bit? You can give me a shout, drop me a DM here on Twitter, and we can talk. All right, thanks so much, and don't forget to click on the link in the tweet here, which is bit.ly/AVS-Junkdrawer as one word. So that's capital A, capital V, capital S, dash, capital J, and the rest is small letters for Junkdrawer. All right, have a fantastic day. Happy Sunday. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Monday, June 8th, 2021, out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, walking down the street. It's raining lightly, and that's okay. It's a refreshing morning. This past week, we've had some cool temperatures here. We've dipped down into the, mid-10s. No, not even lower than that, like 8 degrees overnight, and highs of 16, 17 degrees Celsius. So it's been cool walking, but it's been kind of refreshing from the previous week, 2 weeks of heat wave that we had come through here. Had to put the air conditioner in. And so, that's where we're at right now. This morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode 140 of Check This Out podcast with Ryan and Bryon out of California. And gentlemen, I like listening to your podcast. I'm telling you that. I'm not just saying that. It's true. So true. I enjoy walking, and you guys crack me up, and you tell jokes. And, we spent a bit of time together on game night last spring when the pandemic was just in the infancy stages. And, I appreciate your reflection on the 5 goods and the 5 bads. And, it's important for all of us to, at this time of year, at the end of the school year, when you have a moment to slow down before you stop, to reflect on what are the 5 goods and 5 bads. I like how you talked about that. And number 1 good was resiliency, and teaching and seeing how resilient we are. Not teaching it, but actually watching it happen. We talk about being resilient. We talk about being tough and having grit. And I think that's a bad word. I don't know what that word means. So I'm going to back up from that. But how we, get on with it, and how we keep our focus and drive and motivation. The check this out list you gave about different apps and tools, I'm going to look at. And I'm super psyched about the 60 new Google fonts. That's pretty awesome. And then what are you listening to? You're listening to Got Tech, the podcast. And you said that my name, you said Bryon Carpenter reminded you of this, Bryon, and thanks for doing that. Eric Geis is listening to you guys again because I reminded him of you. Have a good day. Bye. One more thing for June 7, 2021. Just listen to Teachers on Fire, Spark, episode 195, called Cue the Comeback. Tim, I appreciate your honesty and your reflection in this short bit as you talk about how it's been and how we need to set into being, just outside of our comfort zone compared to survival mode. And, we talk about being outside of our comfort zone, but really have I been just surviving? I don't think I've just been surviving, but I've watched others around me just survive. And has there joy in what they're doing because they're just surviving? Or they got a fake smile on to stay positive during this time? And toxic positivity can roll in and things like that have an air of positivity, but we need to know that being uncomfortable is okay, because that's where growth happens. I appreciate your thoughts about your masters and starting a podcast, and I'm the same way here. Starting this podcast of FreshAirAtFive has really grown me in the areas of 1, being disciplined, 2, understanding audio and working with tools that I'm not comfortable with, 3, I stepped into starting a podcast with my students that just went live this past week, and it's over now because I only have 7 students and myself. And so we put out the podcast called the Junkdrawer, a podcast by students, and you can find that on all your podcatchers. But it's important that we take steps in the direction of having that growth mindset. That's what that's about. It's about being okay with being uncomfortable. And Tim, I'm going to put that book by the Mindset book, and I can't remember the author right this second, into my queue for this summer to take a listen to. Thanks so much, Tim. I appreciate you. I think I'll see you this afternoon. Maybe not on Instagram Live, but maybe on Twitter Live. We'll see. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, PLN, June 8th, 2021, and I'm out here for FreshAirAtFive this morning, and the sun is about to come up. Sunrise here where I live is at about 5:05 a.m. this morning and this week, as we're getting into the summer solstice day coming on June 20th. Looking forward to the longest day of the year, and I've got plans to not be at home, but with the travel restrictions hopefully opening, being away with my wife and friends as we celebrate my wife's birthday around that time. So as I'm walking, I listen to episode 180 of the House of EdTech podcast. As Chris Nesi talks about year-end strategies to help take care of the clutter in your LMSs and Google Drives and your updates on your computer to make sure things are running efficiently and smoothly. And Chris, thanks for that great reminder at this time of year, because those are the kinds of things that your IT department may or may not do for you. And it's good to do these things. And I have been negligent in the past and found myself in a jammer because I can't find something or things are running slow. So thank you, Chris, for that. Also, you talked about appreciate and relaxation and how you were sitting there watching your boys at the park in their running camp, and just how, you got to sit and appreciate the moment. I take time to appreciate this moment every day as I'm out walking for Fresh Air at 5 and my Mies time. And yeah, it takes time. It takes time to do this, but I believe that these opportunities to rest and relax and appreciate what we have makes a difference for us as we move forward. I appreciate you, Chris. Thanks so much, bud. Thanks for all that you do to bring and elevate this thing called education and educational technology. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. One more thing for June 8, 2021. I just finished listening to the Easy EdTech podcast with Monica Burns, and she has on her episode 115, I think it's 115, the guest, she has Eric Kurtz talking about 10 little known Google tools that you should know about. And Eric brings his magic that he does through his Control-Alt-Achieve presence on the internet and the work that he has done in Ohio, and continually bringing Google to the fore and how we can use a bunch of tools in our everyday that we maybe don't know about. Thanks, Eric, for your work. Eric and I connected back in 2018 in October when he came to my town for our Google Summit with EdTech team. Brilliant, Eric. Appreciate you. Thank you, Monica, for having Eric on your show and talking about these 10 various tools. And I've got something to talk about today with my students to fill a void in my lesson plan. So thanks so much. Appreciate you both and have a fabulous, fabulous day. I'm wearing my toque this morning because it's 6 degrees Celsius in June. What? It's January. I hope we don't get snow here, but it could happen. It has happened in the past. Happy Tuesday to you all. Have a great day and take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's June 9th, 2021, and I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5 this afternoon, and I just listened to episode 89 of Got Tech, the podcast with Eric Geis and Nick Johnson, and they had special guest on Helen Corvaline out of their school district, who is an elementary school STEM and conservation teacher. And Helen, it was fantastic to hear you talk about what you do in elementary, and I have had the opportunity to work with some elementary and kindergarten kids for doing some science in the past, but not as much as you. And that's fantastic that you get to do that every day and encourage and watch young minds absorb the information and learning and observation and getting that. Fantastic. Dig it. All right. So you talked about STEM and how science, technology, engineering, and math are the four disciplines that one or many of those interacting and engaging with other disciplines makes something STEM. So I've got a background in chemistry, like Nick does, and I teach chemistry online at my school. And I would not call myself a STEM teacher in regards to my chemistry class, but working in the technology realm with digital learning and literacy and working with middle school students, I do see STEM as an opportunity. And part of that is communication. And how do we use technology to communicate and write communications and drafts and make videos so that we can express a story? And so I think it's fantastic to teach kids how to use the technologies so that they can go on beyond where they are with me and use it in other realms, which makes it more like STEM. So thanks so much, Helen. Appreciate it very much. I also appreciate what you said about the creative part and being creative. And this is something that I've been wrestling with recently. Well, I'm come to terms with it, that I call myself a creative person, and how I do things creatively is my own way of expressing and making and doing things. And just because I'm not a fine artist or a performance dancer or a musician doesn't mean I'm not creative. We're all creative. Be creative. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye. One more thing for June 9th, 2021. Okay, this morning I woke up at 4:30 like I typically do to get out for my FreshAirAtFive walk, and I was feeling like junk. I came home from work yesterday kind of lightheaded and feeling gross, and when you've been pushing it, and we are at the end of the school year here in British Columbia, Canada, we're pushing it pretty hard, doing all kinds of things, and I've taken on extra projects and doing things beyond what I normally do, but the normal things are also pretty full and rich. And so anyhow, this morning I woke up, got my son out the door for work, and I went back to bed. So you know what? I had to give myself permission today to stop and take a moment. So give yourself permission. Are you tired? Are you tired? Just sit down. You can have a sit. It's all good. It's okay. It's okay to stop. It's okay to stop marking for a bit. Take a break. And so that's what I did this morning. Went to work after that, and then I started feeling much better. I'm back to myself, feeling fantastic now out here, and I got out for a walk this afternoon. Important for me to do this every day, but you know what? If I couldn't have done it today, I have to be okay with that. So be okay with yourself taking a break and getting some rest. That's my one more thing for right now. Another one more thing for June 9th, 2021, as I'm wrapping up this afternoon's walk and recording for this segment of Fresh Air at 5, my podcast, episode number 24, which will be out next Friday. I was listening to the 3 CCs, the 3 caffeinated coaches, with Shannon, Becky, and Georgina, as they reflect on the past 6 months of their growth. They talk about their inspirations, they talk about their connections, they talk about their growth and where 3 CCs has gotten to from what they expected and how it's grown. Ladies, big applause here. So this guy's clapping right now, and excited for you and the journey that you have been on. I remember the day after our podcast both launched on January 5th. I remember how excited I was to see your podcast, and that day I listened to your first episode. Listened to it, reflected on it, and put my reflections into segment and episode 2 of Fresh Air at 5, my podcast. Thanks so much for your work that you're doing, for bringing the enthusiasm and passion about your educational journey to us. Thank you for the book study. I didn't take part in that, but I'm going to look at the next book study and jump into that Google form you mentioned. So if you want to jump in there on the 3CC's book study, check out episode 12 of the 3CC's, and they've got a form in there where you can jump in and take a look at opportunities, what your thoughts have been on their podcast. If you haven't listened, you should listen. You should listen to their podcast because it's fantastic. I've listened to a few episodes, not all the episodes, because I was like, book study guy, not this guy right now. So that's right now, but in the future, I'll give it a go. Thanks, ladies. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. Hey, PLN, June 10th, 2021, out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, and I got up and I'm feeling way better than I was yesterday morning, so thankful for that. This morning as I was walking, I listened to Sons of Technology episode 64, and I am a member of the EdTech Army, and so you can be a member of the EdTech Army too. Take a listen to Sons of Technology and check out their Flipgrid where you can add your name to that. All right, episode 64 of Sons of Technology with Joe Marquez and Kyle Anderson. They talked about certification programs for EdTech tools that you can get this summer and beyond. And they talked about the utility of getting these certifications. One could be for badging, which is, makes you look good. Another could be for, actual learning. And I go for the second one because, having the certification means only so much as much as you learn and know about it. So that's my recommendation, that you don't get the certifications unless you're passionate about the tool. But in doing so, the certifications, Joe talked about how it can expose you to the different aspects of the tool, and you can learn more things about it than what you have. I'm a big Adobe Spark user, but I do not have my Adobe Level 1 Educator yet at this point. Been using and training and teaching Spark for the past 5 years, but I don't have that on that badge. So that's one thing I'm going to be chasing this summer, and also my Level 2 Google. It's been in the wings for a while and I haven't gotten around to that, so I'll be working on that. But Kyle and Joe, thank you so much for this thorough list. And it's not an exhaustive list. There's programs out there and tools that have certification programs that they didn't mention. But you need to hear about some of these programs. Take a listen to episode 64 of Sons of Technology as Joe and Kyle talk about these. Fantastic, gentlemen. The summer learning can begin. Well, okay, it's not summer here yet. I'm still in the throes of grad, doing all manner of things, wrap up the school year, but we'll get to it. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Hey, PLN, June 10th, 2021, out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, and I got up and I'm feeling way better than I was yesterday morning, so thankful for that. This morning as I was walking, I listened to Sons of Technology episode 64, and I am a member of the EdTech Army, and so you can be a member of the EdTech Army too. Take a listen to Sons of Technology and check out their Flipgrid where you can add your name to that. All right, episode 64 of Sons of Technology with Joe Marquez and Kyle Anderson. They talked about certification programs for EdTech tools that you can get this summer and beyond. And they talked about the utility of getting these certifications. One could be for badging, which is, makes you look good. Another could be for, actual learning. And I go for the second one because, having the certification means only so much as much as you learn and know about it. So that's my recommendation, that you don't get the certifications unless you're passionate about the tool. But in doing so, the certifications, Joe talked about how it can expose you to the different aspects of the tool, and you can learn more things about it than what you have. I'm a big Adobe Spark user, but I do not have my Adobe Level 1 Educator yet at this point. Been using and training and teaching Spark for the past 5 years, but I don't have that on that badge. So that's one thing I'm going to be chasing this summer, and also my Level 2 Google. It's been in the wings for a while and I haven't gotten around to that, so I'll be working on that. But Kyle and Joe, thank you so much for this thorough list. And it's not an exhaustive list. There's programs out there and tools that have certification programs that they didn't mention. But you need to hear about some of these programs. Take a listen to episode 64 of Sons of Technology as Joe and Kyle talk about these. Fantastic, gentlemen. The summer learning can begin. Well, okay, it's not summer here yet. I'm still in the throes of grad, doing all manner of things, wrap up the school year, but we'll get to it. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Hey, PLN, it's later on the day, on Thursday, and I'm out delivering papers with my daughter, and it's June 10th, 2021. I just listened to the STEM Everyday podcast with Chris Woods as he talks with Carly and Adam. I didn't catch their last names, of the STEM Teachers Club, and how they're talking about this Heart of STEM conference that is happening pretty soon on June 21st to 23rd. There's 18 hours of professional development that you can get. You can go over to check out the show notes for Daily STEM podcast with Chris Woods, episode number, what number was it? I can't remember, but I have it in the tweet here. So, Chris, thanks so much. Thanks, Adam and Carly, for the work that you're doing. And I will check out your website so that I can learn some more things about STEM in my classroom every day. Thanks. Episode 203 of the STEM Everyday Podcast. One more thing later for June 10th, 2021. This afternoon, as I wrap up my paper delivery time with my daughter, I listened to episode 72 of the Define University podcast with Lindsay Titus. And Lindsay had guest on Mandy Froelich, who is an educator and consultant out of Virginia, I believe. I think so, Mandy, but I'm not sure. I might be wrong. But anyhow, Mandy and I, we crossed paths once upon a time ago. I think it was 2 summers ago when I was reading George Couros' book, and I'm like, where's George Couros in the world right now? And I did a search for where he was on Twitter, came across this conference that him and Mandy were both at, saw her session, thought that looks really curious, and made a tweet about it. And she goes, come on by. But unfortunately, Mandy, I couldn't come by because I was here in British Columbia and you were way over there. I think that was in Virginia maybe at that time or something like that. So anyhow, thank you, Mandy and Lindsay, for your conversation this afternoon about being who you are and knowing who you are. And I am Bryon. I am me, and I enjoy fishing as something fun that I like to do. And it's taken me some time to make sure that I am being who I am and before what other people want me to be. I am also a teacher, a husband, a father, Christian. I am, a garden lawnmower guy who takes care of that. So I'm going to get to that in a moment. But yes, it's important that we be confident in who we are so that we can know that before we start working with the little people in our lives as teachers and in our spaces to take care of them. Thanks for your work. If you need some inspiration today, take a listen to episode 72 of the Define University podcast with Lindsay Titus and Mandy Froelich. And thanks for your work, ladies. You keep on going. Keep going. Go! Because it makes a difference for people like me. And it takes work. It takes time. And I am not unburnt out just by listening to your podcast. But I will, I'm not burnt out at all. But it's about being mindful at every moment so that we don't get to that stage. Appreciate you both very much. Thanks so much. Talk to you. Bye. Hey, PLN Friday, June 11th, 2021. What a week it's been. Have you had a full week? I've had a full week. And here we are, the last day of this full week for me. And I'm excited to go to school today and finish up and work on some projects and do some student marking, engage with some students as they write exams. And yes, it's going to be a great day. We're halfway through June. Got a couple weeks more of school to go here before we really wind it down, and I'm looking forward to that. Yes, this morning as I was out walking, I listened to episode 71 of My EdTech Life as Fonz has guest Debbie Tannenbaum. And Debbie, hi Debbie, how are you? I'm glad to hear your voice again, and glad to connect with you through Fonz's podcast, and great to hear your story from a different angle. That's the fantastic thing about hearing about an educator in various platforms and on different podcasts is because the hosts ask different questions and get at who the person is slightly different in different ways. So I'm thankful for that. And I received your book yesterday, Debbie. I got it in the mail and I opened it up, and I haven't taken the picture, but I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to put it on here today talking about your book. And thank you for getting me your book. I appreciate you putting the effort in to doing so. And I know that, it was a challenge to get it across the international border, but hey, these are things that we learn to do, and you did great. Fantastic. Appreciate hearing your story, as I said. And Fonz, you bring the richness of people so that we can hear it, and I appreciate My EdTech Life for that. Yeah, all right, fantastic. Have a fantastic Friday, everybody. We will talk to you later, and enjoy your day. Not sunny here right now, but maybe it will be a bit later today. Thanks, bye. And so this brings us to the conclusion of episode 24 of Fresh Air at 5, my podcast, as I reflected this week through listening journeys, starting off with my student podcast at school and how my students have really worked on understanding a little bit. Well, we just dipped our toe into the pool of podcasting, but we published their podcast that they made. And so you can find that at bit.ly/A, V, S- capital J for Junkdrawer, and Junkdrawer is one word. So that is the bit.ly that you can go to find our podcast. And through the week, I've done some great learning. Listened to Lindsay Titus yesterday, talked to Mandy Froelich about being who you are. And that was really good to hear again, because we need to hear that again and again, because we can get caught up in being who other people think we are instead of who we are. So be you. Do you, because I'm going to do me today and enjoy being who I am. Thanks for listening to Fresh Air at 5 this week. Be inspired. Get outside. Go get some fresh air. Listen, learn. Hey, and tell somebody about what you've learned. That's me doing it right here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself, because you're worth it.